He's done over 1,100 in the last 17 years, new builds and rehab. So please put your hands together for Jacob the Builder.
How y'all doing today? I'm Jacob the Builder. Oh my God, he couldn't have picked a better place. I'm here to ask some questions today in reference to building and how I got started. You know, I started in Indianapolis 17 years ago. I bought my first rehab for $8,100. It was a termite-infested home. Really, yeah, it was crazy. It looked like Freddy Krueger lived in there. And me and my wife got together. At the time, she was pregnant. And we got there, we struggled and put it together and built it. We got a crew when we was out there and we built it. And it was pretty hard. We struggled building it. It took us about six months to finish the project in the house. At that time, it was pretty rough up in Chicago and getting REOs and everything. So we went from Indianapolis. That was our first home that we flipped down in Indianapolis, and we worked our way back up to Kankakee and Gary, Indiana. And I started buying homes in Gary, Indiana right after we got our money built up. And we was up on the east side of Gary, Indiana in Hobart buying homes for $5,000, $6,000 a home, and we was flipping those. The spreads wasn't really that large in there, but we did so many value up by the time I came over to Dalton and Calumet City, and I hooked up with a realty executive. I was dealing with Jeff Morozic at the time and Dan Robinson. Anybody know Dan Robinson? I was dealing with Jeff Morozic and Dan Robinson at the time, getting REOs over there for like 20,000, 10,000. And we was going up in there just doing the basic lipstick rehabs up in there and flipping them. And so we ended up going into like a bid war with a lot of different investors. And I decided to start doing new construction. And you know, me and my brother, we came up with the idea to do new construction. So we started getting lots from Gil Balin. Gil Balin, you know, he was selling lots, getting a lot of lots from, you know, tax sales and stuff. So I got with an architect, Ron Gardner, and a surveyor, and we just started building. It was very hard, you know, starting out, because we just was guinea pig at the time. And, you know, I'm here today. You know, I'm here today. And I can't believe I did so many houses. I'm like, oh my goodness, I got a call I just came over the flu. So I'm here today. I got a lot of write-ups in Chicago Magazine. You know, they've been doing a lot of interviews and stuff. Right now we're doing HGTV. You know, I'm doing a lot of shooting HGTV. What else? We're doing 90 episodes. We shoot 90 episodes for HGTV right now. We just started that like 6 weeks ago. So you guys will be seeing me on that. I'm doing Windy City Live, April 6th. I'll be on Windy City Live, so tune in. Windy City Live, so I'll be with GA and Val doing my thing over there. So y'all gotta tune in to me, all right? Any questions?
Well, yeah. So I'll go through here. So I guess what made you want to start? You know, like you said, the first property you bought was like Freddy Krueger, and I guess what made you want to buy, you know, that piece of junk and turn it into a nice house? What made you even want to get into real estate in the first place?
My father, he was doing real estate. I had no interest. I was into music, producing at the time. I had no interest in real estate. And I just dove in and found my niche, so I really didn't have no interest.
What did your dad do in real estate?
He was buying REOs. He did a lot of REOs back there, hood homes, back in the 60s. He was buying a lot of REOs.
He was flipping them? Or
he was renting them. He would rent them. He was renting the homes. He wasn't into flipping. He was into buying and holding. You know, he wasn't into, he was in the long term. You know.
So how did you, I guess, number one, how did you find your first, that Freddy Krueger house? How did you find it? It was just on the MLS, or?
I found it on the MLS. I found it on realtors.com for $8,100. I actually sold my car so I could finish rehabbing it. Really, I did. Honestly, I did. I sold my car so I could finish rehabbing it. You know?
So if there's any investors out there going through some financial difficulties right now, you can always sell your car.
honestly, I did. I sold it, and a couple of times I did the little title loan thing, so it worked. It all worked out. I had to do the banks didn't want to fund me, so yeah, I had to do what I had to do.
So that was my next question. So how did you fund your first deal? So it sounds like you had a little bit of money, you had to sell a car. How did you kind of come up with the money to do the rehab and the purchase?
Well, I sold my car. I had some cash from producing, so I had a few dollars from producing. And I just took that and rolled it on over, and I sold that home for $70,000. That really gave me a big jump. And I was able to take that and keep rolling it until I could prove myself to Bill Wheeler. He's at the time he wasn't the CEO of State Bank and Countryside. He was the vice president of the loan department. And I had brought him over all these homes that I had sold in all these hood statements. And I had got referrals from other builders at the time that gave me their referrals. James Rabbit and Mike Finnan, and Bill gave me a chance on my first new construction. He gave me my first chance, and I proved him. I'm one of the only builders that paid that bank back when the market crashed. A lot of them foreclosed and everything. I'm one of the only contractors, a handful of them that, was able to pay the bank back. Even through the boom, I was able to keep going. In fact, they still fund me to this day. State Bank and Countryside is my #1 bank that fund all my new construction homes.
So what was your, let's go back to your first deal. What was your biggest challenge? Like, just figuring it out. I know your dad, I don't know if he helped you on that at all, but what was your biggest challenge on your first deal? I mean, I remember my first deal. I mean, it was a nightmare. I had a lot of challenges. Is there anything that really stuck out to you on that first deal?
Well, you know what, back rehabbing back then, it was kind of a little, I think it's harder now because the requirements with the bars raised now with all the home inspectors and everything. Back then when I sold my first home, there wasn't a home inspectors on me like they are now. So it's a whole different code, and out there we was using, the code is different in Indianapolis. I mean, here you got to use a union state, you have to use conduit, everything has to be in, pipe, carpet. Out there we was using flex, we was using Romex. So things was a little different out there. The codes and everything was different out there. So the struggle was finishing it. It was like, it was just long. It was a long process. So anytime you start out doing something, it's going to be hard, no matter what it is. When you started out,
amen, brother.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be.
They say a rocket ship, I don't know the exact number, but it's something like a rocket ship uses up like 90% of its fuel just to get off the ground. So if you've never done a deal and you're in this room, you have to realize
you still have 90%.
Yeah, 90% of that work is on the front end.
Right.
So how did you once you sold that first deal? I mean, how did it look like getting deals 2, 3, and 4? Did you buy 2 at a time, or did you do kind of 1 at a time? And how did that kind of snowball?
I felt that when I moved up to Gary, Indiana, I was able to take that money and I bought 11 homes. I remember I bought from Jeff and Rose at once after I finished up when I bought them. And I had a little crew. This crew was a C-type crew, but we made it work. And we just kept on rolling. And I found it easier for me. This might sound crazy. It's easier for me now. If I do 1 home, it's harder for me to build 1 home than do 10. Because I got my own crew there and I can keep on moving them. So when I go down to City Hall, I go in for 12 permits at a time. So we start excavating, we just go. We move the machine from each side, and we got everything going up. So it's easier for me to do 10 homes than do 1. It's just easier for me. I mean, that might sound, a little weird, but it's easy for me to do like that. So most builders, they say it's easy for them to do a couple of them. They just kind of stay in their lane. I'm more of a volume builder. So when I'm down in Bronzeville and I'm building these homes, I got a lot of competitors down in Bronzeville. I got a couple of people in here that's in Bronzeville. He's in Bronzeville, I gotta
stay out of Bronzeville.
So they come in Bronzeville, so they get mad. I got and I think Hassani still is a great guy. I mean, Hassani, him and his investors did wonderful things down there. But I try to tell a lot of guys down there that I'm a volume builder, so I like to leave equity in my homes, leave a little equity for the buyer. And a lot of the homes that I'm selling in Bronzeville, they sell them for $550. And people are really buying them. They buy them, and I sell the same home for $450, $429. But I'm able to move so I can move so many of them. I can move more that way. I can move volume. I can move 37 to 40 homes in a year doing it that way, opposed to moving only 5 and pricing them up that high. So that's my model, and that's the Frank Macho model.
So what were your budgets on your first deals versus your budgets now? Like, on those homes in Indiana? What were your budgets on those? What's the typical budget now on what you're doing with the new construction or rehab?
I was actually able to get out of those homes with back then 10 grand, 12 grand. We was rehabbing them really cheap back then. We was using regular oak cabinets. We was using a little stick down tile, a little vinyl tile. We used that little stick down tile on that. Now you're using the high end stuff. So back then everything was just low. Everything was low, everything was cheap, really low. Rental style back then. So it's totally different now.
And I know you're building in the suburbs now as well as the city. So just kind of walk me through do you prefer working in the city or the suburbs? What's it like building a house in the suburbs versus building a house in the city of Chicago?
It's more money in Chicago. I mean, you got to deal with all the red tape, but I like Chicago because you get less square footage and make more money. I'm building, in the fastest, I just built 6 homes in the Gap area, and I built 4 of them in a row on 34th and Calumet. I just finished that project up over there, and I was able to build those homes for $230,000 and sell them for $533, $520 each home. With the lot I was in there, turnkey, hidden costs, about with the lot 272, and I sold them over $500,000 each run. Opposed to in the suburbs, you're building these big gigantic homes, and your spreads over there, those developers out there only making, they acclimated to that. They're only making $40,000. They doing good if they make $60,000 on them homes, and it's taking 6 months for them to build. It takes me 90 days to build a home. 90 days to build a home. In the wintertime, I'm probably at about 120 days because the weather conditions and everything. So it's a little longer in the wintertime. But in the summertime, I rock. So it takes a little longer in the suburbs to build, and the spreads are small in the suburbs. You got a lot that you build, and they get a lot for their money out there, but the spreads are really thin in the suburbs out there. I like out there in the suburbs, but the spreads are thin.
Yeah, because you're building in, is it Frankfort or?
I'm in Frankfort, Tinley Park, Mokina. I'm building out there in Frankfort, Tinley Park, Mokina.
So, I guess what's it like working with those cities too? I mean, Chicago is bad in a lot of ways working with the city, but at least they're consistently bad versus working with each of these little villages, because we call them villages, and each, you get one inspector at one of these villages that thinks they know everything, or they want you to do it their way, or they'll have you redo something. So what's been your experience, I guess, working in some of these other, have you had any issues with the city, with these other cities?
I think Matson is one of the hard ones because if anybody rehabbing in Matson, if you open up the walls now, they want you to put a sprinkler system in there. Like a sprinkler, like in the commercial buildings, they want you to put a whole sprinkler system up in there. So I think that is crazy. That is tearing into your profit. So it's pretty hard out there. Lansing is really a hard place to, dealing with Lansing, Illinois. South Holland, Dalton, Calumet City is pretty good. Some of these suburbs fairly want to see you come in there and you rehab these homes or do new developers, and it'll bring more and raise more revenue. The city of Chicago really don't care. It is what it is up in here. They send you through, good luck getting a permit in the city of Chicago. Even if you're in a fast track program, you're still gonna take 2 months to get a permit if you're doing new construction or whatever. So don't get mad at your architect or your expediter. That's just what it is down there.
Yeah, I've had it where the permit takes, I think one of the worst, I think it was over 6 months. Have you had permits where it's just a ridiculous?
Yeah, and it's unfortunately all the homes that I had sold, it took longer to get the permits on. The ones I didn't have sold, I got the permits quick on. I just had one on 43rd Street. I'm building 3 of them in a row, and the 600 block of 43rd Street, it took 5 months to get those permits over there. I almost want to start digging before I got my permit. I was like, oh my goodness, don't want that to happen.
So I guess for people here, we're starting to hire subs directly. Are you using general contractors to build, or are you subbing everything out and then kind of, I guess, how do you do the construction? Do you have a project manager and then he manages the subs?
I'm an interior designer by trade, so I do all my interior design and everything. And I GC my own projects. I got a project manager that's on site to make sure everything go well, and I sub a lot of my stuff out. I'm sure a lot of other guys do that as well. I sub out a lot of stuff. I have some in-house finished carpenters that works for me, but most of my guys I sub out. You know, my underground sewer and water guys, my excavators and all that, I subbed all that stuff out. You know.
Do you have problems with subbing?
Sometimes I do, not really often, because we got a relation. You got to build a relationship with them, build a good relationship, and pay them on time. You know, pay them right, and be consistent with them. You know, and everybody got issues. Everybody have bad days and good days, so it's business. So.
And the good thing, like you said, building 10 houses in some ways is easier than building one house, because your guys know, hey, if we screw up, we're not going to get the next 10 jobs that you have lined up or next 100 jobs. You know, you're not really going any. You know, you're going to keep building, and you're the livelihood for a lot of people. So, you know, and that is a great thing about doing volume. You can get your pricing, because I guarantee you try to hire a general contractor to build a home for $230. That's not going to happen.
Well, the worst thing happened to me in real estate that I did a project in the 4800 block of Indiana, and I used the new concrete guy to do my flat work and everything. He had some good references and everything. Well, he put the foundations boxes in the wrong spot. He put them too close together. This was crazy. I had a videotape. This is crazy. And he left and went to Dubai. He went over there. He had left. He went on vacation when he did it. So I come back because I had so many projects going on. And he put the boxes too close together. This was just crazy. We had to knock, and I videotaped it. I still sometimes go back and look. I had a lot of tequila that night. Man, I'm talking about, this was so crazy, so discombobulated. He put both of the boxes together, right there. You know the setbacks in the city of Chicago, you gotta have to have setbacks, so it had to be 5 feet apart. Unless you gotta, if not, you gotta go in for a variance, and you gotta go through all that crap. So he put the
Houses were right on top of each other.
The houses was literally 2.5 feet apart from each other. So my excavator that's experienced, John Bridges, he called me. I said, I need you to backfill over there. They haven't wrapped everything, and you got to go there and backfill. So he go, Jacob, we can't backfill over here. Hell, these foundations are too close together. I'm like, no, So I'm arguing with him on the phone. I go over there and look. I'm like, wow. I'm like, oh my goodness. I couldn't believe this never happened. I done built hundreds of homes, and this never happened. Never happened. The foundations were right next to each other. I videotaped it. He had to knock those out. The alderman came over and everything. She couldn't believe it. Pat Dow was like, wow. Yeah, we had to knock them out. Like, it cost like
Did
20.
you charge back to him?
Yeah, he paid back, but he got hit so hard on the jobs. I ended up having to come out of my pocket with probably about $6,000. He lost over $20,000 on that because we had to remove all the underground and everything in there. They had did the Fozier that came out, did all the underground and everything. They had wrapped it, did all the underground and everything. We was ready, so we had to do. It was hell.
That's hell.
Yeah. So.
How come you guys didn't catch it earlier?
You know what? I was ripping and running, busy and everything, and honestly, it just slipped me. It was in the wintertime. That never happened. I couldn't believe it because honestly, I thought they was far enough apart until he got out there. Luckily, I had an excavator that's.
Well, that was on your project manager.
He was on that, yeah. It was really on my project manager at the time, too. Actually, I had 18 holes in the ground at the time. We had 18 holes in the ground. This was in 2014. So, plus I had a lot of stuff going on out in Creek at the time that I was trying to wipe up, and I had a class that I was doing downtown, so.
Yeah, I mean,
that was really hectic.
Especially when you're doing as many homes as you're doing.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, you could have one project that you're managing and you'll overlook something, right?
Yeah,
Imagine doing 1,100 homes in 17 years. That's a lot of houses to keep straight. Yeah, and I mean, and I don't care what project you're on. I mean, it's never a question of, if something is going to go wrong. It's when something's going to go wrong, right? I don't care. I don't think I've ever done a project where we didn't have at least some small issue in the construction. Every single project. So it's just something you have to take into consideration, if you want to do real estate.
And another thing I want to talk about is settling. If anybody that's out here that's selling homes and everything, I recommend you. I have like a sheet that I had downloaded offline that you should give to all your clients to let them know and educate them about because when people see something new, they feel it's supposed to stay new. They don't know if it's a house. You have settling, and there's a lot of things happen with nature. And we're in Chicago, you got 4 seasons, so things change. You might have a leakage, and these people freak out because they feel if it's new, it's supposed to be new. So you have to educate them and show them and have a nice punch-out list online to state what to expect, so they know what they're getting into, so they don't freak out. So that's what I'm having a lot of problems with. I have a lot of problems with. Most of my struggles is settling. A lot of, the painters and stuff don't want to come back in 6 months and come back and paint in mud and touch up that stuff. But the house settled, and you see all these seams and stuff from the tape and everything up in there. And so those are issues that you're gonna have, and there's no way around it. I don't care. You can have the best motor in the world, and you're gonna have settling. You're gonna have all these issues. It's just gonna happen. There's no way around it.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I mean, if you're selling a house, you have to set expectations with your buyers. I mean, otherwise buyers will call you every single day over every little. I mean, you have buyers where there's scuff marks on the trim. Well, there wasn't. That's what we did the walkthrough before you bought the home. That's why you did the home inspection. It wasn't mentioned. Now you want us to come back and clean up your scuff marks from your boots. So you gotta. Especially when you're doing a lot of homes, you have to set expectations with buyers to a certain, what to expect, what's covered, what's not. And so great question. So with your homes, you're providing some sort of home warranty as well?
You have to give them a builder's warranty at least 1 year. So my subcontractors, make sure you have them licensed and everything. Make sure you have some good, credible guys, because they'll run off. If you just got these snatch and grab guys, you can get stuck. A lot of times out there, if I got a tile guy that, doing tile for me, and he's not, he's good, but he ain't really, competent like that, and we get slow a little bit, he can disappear on another job, and he got to redo, he got to come back because we have grout missing. So sometime I have to hire another tile guy to come back in there and fill in the cracks and that. So I have those little small issues that you have. But for the most part, you want to try to get, when you're doing this, try to get you some good licensed guys that really take pride in their work. It can come back and hunt you in the end.
Yeah, a lot of times the lowest bid you get may not be the best bid you get.
It is what it is. That's why it's low.
If it's a bid's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So, and again, you bring up a great point. Always licensed and insured is extremely important. Especially if you want to be in this business for a long time. God forbid something happens to the house, and the people that weren't on the job were licensed and insured. The sellers or the buyers can come back to you on that, and that's also why it's important to have permits, so the city can also take part of that liability.
Yeah. They're going to sign off on it, so it's good to get your permit signed off. That way, the city can stand behind you. We had a building on 58th. You see that on the news a couple of years ago, that building on 58th in Calumet. New construction building, 4-unit. Brand new construction building, fine. It just collapsed. The building just fell to the ground. It was a brand new building. I mean, it just fell. It was all over the news. Luckily, no one was in it. This was a new construction, nice building. I mean, it looked really nice. The building just collapsed to the ground.
Was there a pocket underneath or something?
It wasn't no sinkholes. I mean, it was just, they didn't have no carpentry. You got to get carpet. They didn't have a carpentry. When they looked at the permits, they had pulled a permit, but they didn't have any inspections done on the building. It wasn't inspected. So they didn't even get rough inspections on there. I think they just got electric. They never got new construction in Mason. No structural inspection on there. I don't know why. That's probably why.
So that seller has 100% liability, or who did that house has 100% liability because he didn't get the proper.
Well, this is like 5 years later when the building fell.
Yeah.
It was 5 years later, it just collapsed. The whole building just collapsed. A new construction building collapsed. It was all over the news.
So what's your biggest challenge today? Flipping and building that you face in your business right now?
The market is a little, me personally, I don't know if you guys experienced this, I think the market was better last year, I think. I was able to move stuff higher last year opposed to this year. This year is like a turtle, like it's just moving like this. I don't know if it's just a lot of inventory or whatever, but I found that I moved more units at a higher price last year than this year. So I don't know if, I don't know if it's the market that I'm in, but that's what I'm experiencing. I'm still able to move my product and move it in a timely manner, but it's not as much. I'm not doing as much. Last year it was just like, boom, 2 days on the market, everything is gone. So now I'm seeing it sit a little longer, you know, that 30 days to 40 days and get it on the contract is a little slower. And people are looking, last year I was able to get, the key was $500,000 in Bronzeville. Now people want to be $399. Those are moving. I track the MLS, more of those numbers is more in the price down there now. $399, $415. Anything in the fives, 520, 550 up is sitting. It's getting a lot of market time on that. So I don't know if it's the election. I don't know what it is. So maybe you guys got some answers.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that. Well, there's just a lot more people building now. I mean, it's not just, you know, the people in this room. I mean, you've got corporations that are, you know, doing buildings and that sort of thing. So the competition right now is also a lot higher, I think, than it ever was, especially, you know, in the Bronzeville area. You know, with the Marianos coming in and, you know, all the development. So now you've got all these big developers coming down. And I mean, it's the same thing on a lot of areas on the north side is just it's being overdeveloped. So a lot of people are sitting on their properties a lot longer. So, you know, take that into consideration. Just because something sold in, you know, in 2 days, maybe a year ago, on the market's, you know, a little bit different. So you need to take that into consideration. Yeah. So how are you finding your deals now? Or I know you buy a lot of lots. You've bought in a lot of lots, I know, from previous years. How are you acquiring new lots and properties?
You know, I get a lot of leads. A lot of people every day got my email. You know, a lot of people I got like 5 leads yesterday. So I get a lot of leads off my signs. I got a lot of signs all through the Bronzeville area. I had over 200 lots down there. So I just tagged a lot of my lots down in that whole area, from the Washington Park area to the Bronzeville area to the Kingwood area. So I did a lot of marketing and promoting myself. So I get a lot of leads off that. A lot of people hit me with leads on lots for sale, homes for sale, and everything. So that's what I've been riding off of. I've been selling a lot of my homes right now off my signs. I sold 4 homes this week off my sign, not even off the MLS, and I've listed. You know, so marketing is everything.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're doing a rehab job and, you know, it's going to be more than 3 months, you should definitely have as big sign as you can get in the front. You will get possible buyers and possible sellers off that sign, so it's important. In the suburbs, a lot of times they don't like those big bulky signs, but in the city, just put them up.
I'm gonna let you add those in the suburbs.
How are you financing your deals?
Through the bank. I go through State Bank of Countryside. Now it's Countryside Bank. Countryside.
So, I mean, you're putting down 15, 20%? What kind of rates are you getting?
Well, I got a relationship with my bank because I've been with them for, you know, over a decade. So I'm pretty much grandfathered in with them. I got a good relationship. So I just own all my land, and they just give me the construction loan on the land. So that's what they use. You got to own the land clear and free, and they give me the construction loan. And what they don't give me, I fund the rest of my projects. So if they fund half, I'll fund the rest myself. So that's the way I do it. But I'm looking for other lenders. I haven't dealt with any lenders but that bank. You know, I got a good relationship with them, but I'm gonna reach out to other lenders and stuff, and you know.
If you guys want a car dealership, you can have that car, and then you can sell cars, so you can buy the. It's tiny about. I'm telling you guys, it's a good property.
And you don't have to sell your own car.
Yeah, there you go.
Sell your own car. So, what do you think is the most important thing you do in your business right now that makes you successful?
You got to stay consistent. I just stay consistent. And with a lot of my competitors, I got a lot of competitors out there that clone me, so I constantly change stuff up. I had to change my whole look up, because I looked at a couple of guys, they cloned me so good. I was like, wow, this look better than mine. I mean, they cloned me so good. And they really cloned it. I was like, oh my God. I was looking on the MLS, I'm looking like, okay, you know. They tweaked it out with their little fixtures and stuff in there, so I'm changing my facades up, and you just stay consistent and keep going and price your stuff, and don't be so greedy. You know, don't be greedy. Just it's either get in and get out, and just keep going like that, consistent. So I just go. I'm really a gutty guy. I go with my gut. So And I think I did pretty well with that over the years.
So what's, obviously those foundations that were, just a couple feet apart, sounds like a pretty terrible thing that's happened. Have you had anything happen that's worse than that or pretty close to that on a, either a rehab or new construction that just was just a disaster or just really set you back?
I had one at, I was building some homes in 2006 in the Peel Hill area. You familiar with that? 93rd in the Peel Hill area, 93rd, east of Stony Island. I built all those homes up there back in 2006 all the way down to Colfax. And I had my excavator that I used, he didn't dig down deep enough, so the foundation was up a little too below the frostbite. So that was one issue that I had. But I was pretty much an amateur in building back then, so there's a lot of things that I learned as I went, so that was a mistake I made, and I started having leakage in my foundations, and I was wondering why, because the city codes was a little different than now. They're more stricter, but back then you had to go, if you was doing brick, you only had to have 10-inch walls on the front, 8-inch walls all the way around. Well, when you go with 8-inch walls, that's thin, so you have more leakage by it being smaller. So what I started doing is I watched a couple of my other builders. I was wondering why they stuff wasn't leaking, and I asked them, why you don't have any leaks? I mean, I'm using XL, using the fiberglass damp proofing and everything. And they said, why don't you just spend a little extra money and do 10-inch walls all the way around? I was like, really? And you'll never have leaks. And I've been doing it ever since then and never have leaks. So I just pay the extra money and do 10-inch. And then, if I'm doing a brick facade on the front and doing vinyl siding and a hardy board on the side, it gives the client an option if they ever want a brick, because you got that, you got those inches right, you got the extra inches right there, 3 inches to do brick. So if you're doing 8-inch on the side, they can never do a brick home. So if you ever want to brick my homes up, if I'm doing vinyl siding all the way around and just a brick facade on the front, you always can rip the siding off and you can build all the way up on there. So that gives you more, leeway on that. So I did wonderful things, and I had less headaches, because it can cost you an end if you got those small walls right there. It can cost you tens of thousands of dollars coming back and repairing the basement. So,
What's the craziest thing that's happened to you at a job? Just doesn't necessarily have to cost you money, but just something unexpected.
Oh my goodness! I mean,
We have to keep it PG too. So
PG-17.
have you ever seen the craziest thing happen? Like what?
just anything, any story.
The union came out there one day. The union was protesting on one of my
They put a
sides.
rat in front.
And they came out there and started rolling my side up, and my guys came out there, and
Oh,
they got
wow.
a little hectic. And another thing, I had my Polish guys and Lithuanian guys. I didn't know they didn't get along. They was out there throwing hammers at each other. So, wow. That's one of my craziest things that happened. I was doing something that happened at me on the. I was doing a property, and this is a pretty rough area at the time too. This is on 80th and Emerald.
Yeah.
Pretty rough on there. I'm talking about this area is so rough that they was just stealing the carpet out of here left and right. I mean,
Stealing carpet?
the carpet, the piping up out of here.
Oh,
and, and another situation I had one job site that was so crazy. 50, I remember this address. It was 5439 South Federal. I hired some dogs in there. You know, the dogs in there. These guys were stealing so much up. They kept breaking in, so I got the dogs. They went in there and stole all the pipes out the place and the dogs.
Now, are you talking about dog security or like pit bulls?
I promise you, they took the privacy fence. When I came there, I had left for a weekend. I think me and my brother, we went to Vegas. My brother's here, by the way, the cabinet guy, Joe in the house. We went to Vegas to a Floyd Mayweather fight. So we out there in Vegas. And I came back, we went out to Vegas, and I came back, I mean, they took the privacy fence, was going off the back. This is a true story. My dumpster was filled up. Somebody had filled my dumpster up, because I know you know that. A lot of them guys fill your dumpsters up always. Dumpster was filled up, the privacy fence was took off, the gutters was took, they stole the gutters down, took all the pipes down. out of there and stole the dogs.
So, hold on. So, are we talking dogs, four-legged dogs, or the dog security system?
They took the four-legged German Shepherds.
Oh.
I love German Shepherds. They took the dogs, and the guy was like, wow, the dogs are gone. I mean, no dogs was ever, they took the dogs. They took the dogs and everything. They stole everything. I think if they could have picked the house up, they would have took the house.
How'd you ever finish it?
Yeah. Huh? I end up getting security up in there. We end up having a guy come there and just sit in there.
Properties.
I put VPS on there. I went with the VPS, but the VPS is hectic because, you know, I had a guy that was building some homes over there on 86 and Union. Hell, they took and cut through if you got vinyl sided, they can cut around there and pull the VPS off if it's not all brick. You know, so you know, it's pretty rough out here. You know, some of these areas out here. So, don't happen in the burbs to me like that. But you know, these areas. Any more questions?
Did you put up signs in the neighborhood missing dogs or no?
I was pretty pissed about all my pipes. The pipes cost me like, you know, they just getting it.
You lose all that construction material. You got no insurance?
Well, you know what? We had, you know, when you have so much, the insurance just go up. Sometimes it don't even be worth it. When you're doing the construction, it goes up. You know, they steal it and just. And good luck with spraying your carpet black. We tried that. They still steal it. You can spray it. You know, we start spraying it black and spraying the piping. You know, the copper piping black. That did work. So what I did was that was smart. I started doing galvanized. If you have any rough areas, just pay the extra money. I know the plumbers, they hate it because they got the pipes and everything. I did probably about I did so much galvanized in Bronzeville that they won't even mess with my stuff because they think it's galvanized. I do galvanized piping, and you know, back in the old days, they used to use galvanized piping and everything. I mean, it works, but it rusts if you. So I use galvanized. They won't touch galvanized. They'll walk in there and see that galvanized, and they'll walk right out. So I started using galvanized piping. I just went back to using copper, but for years I've been using, you know, galvanized piping. I just started back maybe 6 months ago using carpet. Most of my houses in Bronzeville all galvanized piping. So I just started back using it, so. All right.
So if I've got one last question, then we'll open it up to everyone here. So if there's one piece of advice that you could give someone here in the room who maybe they haven't yet done their first deal, and you know they're struggling, they're trying to get their first deal, what advice would you give that person to give them that confidence and to get them out there and do their first deal?
Just have faith and remember, how you start off is how you finish. You know, how you start off is how you finish in anything you do. Whatever you do, you want to start off on the right track, not cutting corners. And just start off, think positive. There's going to be a lot of things coming because the devil is always working. He's always working. Just always keep thinking positive and know it's the brighter side of things on the other side of the fence. As long as you keep that positive attitude about that, you can win, because real estate is a great game. We have tried a lot of things in life. That I tried a lot of different ventures, and I have never been so successful in real estate. Real estate is you can make a lot of money in this, a lot of money. And I know people work probably 3 times as hard as me and don't even make, I mean, they make 40, 50 grand a year, and people work day and night shifts hard. You know, I go in these stores and see a lot of people working for Target and Walmart, watching these people work, and they work really hard. You know, they work really hard for that money. Real estate pays you very well. You know, I love real estate. I love it. And you gotta love, in order to be successful in what you do, you got to love it. You have to love what you're doing to be successful. And I tell my brother that a lot. I say, you gotta love what you gotta really love it. I used to go to all type of like family events and stuff, and they like, why do you keep talking about real estate? Because I just love it. I get my iPad out and I'm just showing my pictures and stuff, because I really just love it. I love the whole interior design thing of that. I love what I do. That's why I think I'm so successful in it, because I really love real estate. I love the whole, you know, turning the ugly duckling into a swan. I just love it.
So I got a question for you. So, you know, one of the biggest things that I've been learning about is understanding your why. So what was your why, and what is your why now? Why you do what you do?
What I do?
Yeah.
I mean, I try to carry my father's legacy. He died doing this. I mean, my father actually had a heart attack, but I mean, he loved it. He had homes in Oakland, California, Kansas, You know, and he actually had a heart attack arguing about his rent on the phone. I mean, he loved doing it, you know. Yeah, me and my brother, he really did. He loved doing it. My father worked up until he died, 73 years old. I had an old dad. My dad was born in 1913. Had an old dad, pretty old dad. And he, you know, so, and I'm just driven to do it. I try to just carry his legacy, you know, because I'm like one of the only few in my family that's really still doing real estate. Everybody ventured off into their own joint ventures, you know, sisters, doctors. My brother, he owned a nice big cabinet company exporting, you know, cabinets from China. Got the best deal. You know, if you guys want shaker cabinets and the cabinets you see, and my brother, he's got a really good thing going on with the cabinets. So.
What did you do during the recession, like 2009, 10, 11?
In the recession, what happened was I just was blessed because I bought a lot of lots down there banking on the Olympics and I lost. But what happened was when the market crashed, I didn't have a lot of debt. I was a person that didn't have a lot of debt. So when the market crashed, debt killed a lot of people. A lot of guys had a lot of debt. So I really didn't accumulate a lot of debt. I tried to keep my debt down low as far as all my personal stuff, personal home, cars and stuff was zeroed out. So I didn't have that many construction loans. I had moved everything out and I was lucky. I only had one house left when it dropped. I had one house left that I was stuck on. I had to rent out. So I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, I didn't know if I wanted to go sell cars. My brother, he was like, let's open up a car thing and let's do this and that. I rediversified and I started buying 2 flat buildings. You know, at that time, conventional loans was done. It was back to FHA loans. So what I did was I rediversified and started doing 2 flat buildings because what you do is if you do a 2 flat building, a person can qualify because their debt to ratios are dropped because they can use that second floor for rent. So it was easy for me to move those 2 flats like that. So you can make $30,000 a year, you know, afford a $200,000, you know, building because the lender was using that rent upstairs for that. So we make them look really nice, and I was able to do that, and that kept me going on. I started doing a lot of 2 flats all through the Auburn Gresham neighborhood, the Chatham neighborhood, and I left new construction alone because it was incurable to build. You couldn't build. Nobody, it just wasn't there. It was done. The building was dead. I mean, in fact, I started building in Bronzeville, and I had people laughing at me. I literally had guys driving past asking me, why is this idiot building? Because I watched the market and start going back up, and I started having to fight over these REOs. So I said, wait a minute. I did the math. I say, now it's cheaper for me to build. I can build. I don't have to go through a bidding war on buildings. So they had all these lots available. They had foreclosed for you know, I was getting lots in Bronzeville. In Bronzeville, I bought lots that foreclosed for over $500,000 for $25,000.
Were you snatching them up during the recession and holding them?
No, I didn't. I started at the end. I started back snatching up a lot of lots, and my bank just kind of gave them to me. You know, he had a lot of inventory that he took back from people. He was getting a lot of tickets from the bank was getting a lot of tickets from the city of Chicago for weeds and stuff, and they was killing them on that. So they gave me a lot of lots, and I bought lots from them, and I started building. I started building in Bronzeville, and the homes just started selling. So everybody started watching me build and close them out. Then all my competitors just came. Everybody just started buying lots. So, but I got a jump on them because I saw the vision and I bought so many lots. And I had already jumped in and went in for so many permits because I saw the vision. And I went in. So I was blessed, and I'm glad new construction is back. Yeah, so.
How much are you paying an architect for a house these days?
What do you mean?
For a design? Or do you have a standard design?
It all depends if I'm doing a clone. If I'm doing a repeat, you know, they're going to charge me for it. If they're doing a whole blueprint over again, it can range me $2,500. But if I'm just doing a clone, he's just repeating and just changing. You know, I'm doing the same unit and stuff, and all he needs is a survey, and that's it. $1,200 to $1,300, $1,000 for expediting. You know, charge me $1,000 to expedite the permit and everything.
How many rehabs did you do before you build your first building, and what made you kind of switch between, okay, I was doing rehabs, now I feel like I can go and build a building?
My brother, actually, you know, to be honest with you, my brother, my younger brother, he really wanted to do. He would tell me, he said, you know what, I'm done. I want to do new construction. I think I want to do some new construction. And I'm like, all right. I was doing really good in rehab, by the way. I was doing phenomenally great out of Indiana in the suburbs doing rehabs. But my brother wanted to do new construction, and he had been talking about he wanted to do new construction. So I was with one of my investors one day. And he said, I want to meet with an architect. I'm going to meet with an architect. I said, what for? He said, I want to build a home. I want to build me a home. I said, okay. So I ended up riding with him, and I met Ron Gardner. Ron Gardner at the time was he was a one-stop shop. He did everything. He was like the architect / expediter. He did everything. So when I met with him, I was talking to him. I called my brother and said, "Hey, you want to do new construction?" I met with an architect. So my brother ended up meeting with Ron, and they executed everything. He bought a lot and went in for permits. And I see my brother digging, so I bought me a lot from Jim Singleton at the time, right down there, and I started digging. So we started digging, and we just got busy from there. So I just went on and just kept going. I didn't have any interest at the time in doing new construction because I liked it. I was doing the renovation and everything. So, but new construction is definitely easier than doing rehab because it's not a lot of hidden headaches, and it's more cleaner. It's more cleaner. You get spoiled doing new construction. Rehab is actually harder. It really is. You know. So, all right. Any more questions?
What do you think is the biggest struggle that rehabbers have nowadays, and how do they overcome that?
What do you mean, like biggest struggles in reference to, like?
You know, just getting projects started, moving from one to multiple.
You just gotta have connections and everything in reference to your, it's when you're in Chicago, it's more of these realtors and a lot of these brokers are like connected, so they're giving their buddies stuff, so you get started and you got them taking the properties, giving them cherry picking and stuff, so you got a lot of that stuff going on over here. So you gotta be reaching out to get a lot of leads and stuff, because once you get rid of that other property, now you got that money and you flip it, you gotta hurry up and invest that money again. And keep on going and going and going. So I think that's one of the biggest struggles in getting good property, getting good at a nice, good price. Because when you buy, that's how you win. When you buy, that's when you win. You got to buy right. That's when you win. If you buy too high, speculating on saying, okay, well, if I buy, really, you're only supposed to pay $30,000 for this property, but you're going to pay $60,000 for this property, speculating that you can get more. But really, you shouldn't be spending that. Stick with your number. You go up high. A lot of people overbid and pay too much for these properties. You got these investors come here, and I see them come here, they overbuild. They do so much incurable stuff. I got people that's building next to me now. They want to be like me, and they want to build their homes. I'm selling homes for $450, and these guys come on my block, and they sell them for $550, the same frame home, because they put a little better facade on there. Well, you can't move next to a Walmart and Target, and they selling socks for $5 a sock, and you come sell the same pair of socks for $7 and think you're gonna win. I don't understand that. I look at these guys and be like, wow, are you kidding me? And they just still got signs sitting there. Right now, there's guys down there got signs sitting there because they overbuilt. They overpaid and overbuilt, so they have to sell for more. You gotta stay in the lane. You gotta stay in your lane. And everybody not business, but everybody not investors. Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah.
Do you build everything on site, or do you prefab anything?
What you say?
Do you build everything on site when you're building from the ground up, or?
Yeah, we stick build. We stick build. We don't do no prefab. Everything is stick built. Everything is stick built. I wish we could. I mean, it would be really fun if we could do modulars down there. We just put them together and just go up real quick. It'd be nice if we can do them down there, but unfortunately, we got it as a union state.
Buy his 300,000 square foot property and build them right there.
Build them right there,
There you go.
I don't think they'll let us do that. I don't think they'll let us do that down up in you think they'll let us do it up in
You wouldn't
it
get your
wouldn't
return
happen.
there.
It wouldn't happen.
Construction.
Yeah.
It wouldn't happen.
Good thought though.
That's a dead duck out there. You can't make no money out there. You can't do anything out there. Is that it?
Yeah.
You close
Awesome.
now?
Well, everyone please. All right.